How's it look?
Good
Can you
morning.
hear me?
We can hear you.
Does it sound good?
Yeah. Yeah, you don't sound, it sounds good to me. And you look good.
All right.
Yep. Well, can you lower your laptop lid a little bit?
Laptop lowered.
Okay, better,
Better.
better.
All right.
And your collar's a little wonky. Better. Thank you.
Less wonky collar.
Less wonky collar.
Check.
All right.
All right.
Should we do the intro today, or
Morning.
you want to go straight into it?
Well, since it's only 9:03 and I don't have to spend 10 minutes messing around with the tech, it only took us a week. All right. Progress.
Progress. All right, let's do the intro then, yeah?
Yeah, but this time do it with like you've been practicing it.
Like I've been practicing it. Okay, which will be different than normal. Here we go. Welcome to the Million Dollar Referral Machine for lawyers. This show is for you if you are a lawyer whose work does good in the world, and you know that your law firm could do even more good in the world if you could attract more clients. It's a fact that lawyers have been using old-fashioned networking to build huge books of businesses for generations. And it's also a fact that it's precisely because so many lawyers have become so enamored today with social media and digital marketing that old-fashioned networking is working better than ever in the legal industry. Networking can be used to reliably build your first million or several million-dollar book of business. It works in every single legal practice area imaginable. It levels the playing field because it requires very little working capital for a small law firm to develop and maintain a highly profitable networking program. A good networking program contributes to being able to have more reliable revenue for a small law firm, which cascades into so many other benefits for the business. And it's fun. Yeah, you heard that right. When done right, networking can and should be fun, especially if you're an introvert. Hands down, networking is the absolute best way for a lawyer who's an introvert to build and maintain a huge book of business. And now, let me give you just about a minute and a half of background. Because this is not what you might be expecting, since it's not really a podcast. This is more of a performance art piece. So Dr. Ivan Misner is the founder of BNI, that's Business Network International, which with more than 11,000 chapters worldwide, is the world's largest referral networking organization. And RJon Robins was once a struggling solo lawyer with no money. He used that BNI style networking to jumpstart his career. And today, he's president of How to Manage a Small Law Firm, which, with more than 600 of some of the most successful small law firms in the country under management, How to Manage a Small Law Firm is the leading provider of management services for small law firms in the world. So one day, Sir Richard Branson, yes, that Sir Richard Branson, he introduced Ivan to RJon, and they eventually decided to co-author this book together. And to be sure that these two very busy entrepreneurs could actually get their ideas down on paper, instead of just having the world's most profitable conversation about networking a small law firm into a 7-figure business all alone on the beach, they enlisted the support of legendary book wrangler Heidi Justo to interview them both and help make this book into a reality. This book is being written in parallel, based on Dr. Misner's amazingly effective book-in-a-box method, which RJon used to bang out the outline over one very long breakfast in Paris. And now Heidi will be interviewing them both in parallel to get their take on each of the big ideas that any small law firm owner can use to build a huge book of business for yourself, even if you have no working capital, even if you have very little free time, even if your law firm is already a 7-figure business and you want to grow it into an 8 figures. And even if you are just graduating from law school and you haven't even started your own law firm yet. Each session is going to have 2 parts. So the first part will give you the opportunity to be like the proverbial fly on the wall to watch and listen in as a best-selling book comes to life. And during the second part of each session, we'll open the lines for your questions, both live and the questions that our audience has been sending in. So with that, let's join Heidi and RJon in the studio as they start off talking about how to be a good referral partner. Heidi, RJon, welcome.
Good morning. Happy Friday to everybody.
Why does everyone always say happy Friday? Like, what's so great about Fridays? I mean, there's a certain Friday that we all love, but other than that, like, what's so happy Friday is for like people who don't love what they do.
Yeah. Well, I said Friday, and that is a carryover from my kids' school. When I'd walk them to school on Friday mornings, on Fridays, they'd talk about Friday and then have like a big, now I sound old. I don't know what it's called nowadays, a boom box, like a big, like all the music playing, and it's like exciting music. I love what I do, but I like my weekends too. So happy Friday. Are you ready to hop in? Jump right in, RJon?
Yeah, you know, one of the things that's really interesting about building a referral machine, a machine, like a real machine that just keeps feeding you and feeding you and feeding you and feeding you and feeding you. And this maybe is a disclaimer we should make to people, is eventually you will begin to break from regular society. And well, most people have to wake up on Monday morning and go to work, right? And so they look forward to the weekends. When you've got a referral machine that just feeds you and feeds you and feeds you and feeds you and feeds you, it's like one of those things that's it's like if you know, you know. And once you start to experience it, you start to break from regular society. Like you mentioned your kids, right? My son's school schedule is really the only thing that still keeps me and my wife anchored in regular people world schedule.
It's the limiting factor, right?
It is. I know. But having, and I'm not saying that the automatic referral machine that we're talking about in this book by itself is the only thing, but it's a huge contributing factor. Once you've got this machine that's just feeding you and feeding you and feeding you and feeding you and feeding you, you become free and liberated from so many of the concerns of most people that it's like the fish doesn't know it's wet. You know what I'm saying? Until you experience the reality of having this automatic referral machine, you don't really understand how much weight you're carrying around on you all the time until it's off of you. And then you're like, well, oh my, wow, it's just such a better way to live. And that's kind of, you know, that's part of my, you know, Carly, this is where we cue the song, Nobody Knows the Troubles, right? Nobody understands what it's like to be in this world over here, seeing all these people you care about in that world stuck over there, knowing that they could come over here and be living such a better life, but they just don't know what they're missing out on. And so they won't make the changes to go from there to join us over in here.
Yeah.
It's just so much better. I mean, the point of how I met Ivan, and I'm not going to get into that, you know,
We could talk about that more on Tuesday, maybe too. That would be a fun story since he'll be
if
here
he wants
with
to.
us.
If he wants to. Look, I'm not into showing the glamour shots, right? There are a lot of people online portraying lifestyles that are complete bullshit. They're portraying fake lifestyles, right? They're portraying homes they don't actually live in, cars they don't really drive, toys they don't really own. I'm in a meeting. They're portraying a lifestyle they don't really have, right? And it's kind of like this weird experience when I'm living in the lifestyle that they're faking. The lifestyle they're faking is the lifestyle I'm living. And some parts of it they get right, and some parts of it they get wrong. And it's like almost comical. And I just feel like it's not, I just don't feel comfortable showing it off. Give me 1 second. I'm going to shut a door over there.
Sure.
Be right back. And so, the automatic referral machine that we're talking about and trying to encourage people to build for themselves throughout this book, by itself, it's not like the only thing that makes this happen, right? But it's such a great engine that just powers it and powers it and powers it and powers it. And it's really quite wonderful. And the problem is that there's so many people online and on stages who are just completely faking it. And the things they say about it, the lifestyle, aren't real. And because they're not real and they're not authentic, the people they're speaking to get mixed messages. You get what I'm saying? They end up focusing on and highlighting and making a big deal of the things that don't really matter, and missing the more subtle nuances that really do matter. And this is way beyond the scope of this book, so I'm just sharing with you because we're making small talk before we get started. Yeah. And like maybe this is a book that you and I can talk about writing after this, a different book. How to really share the reality of this. Look, 99% of the world's population earns less than 1% of the world's population. Yeah. That's why the 1% is called the 1%, because the 1% earns more income than 99% of the world's population. That's just math, right? To be a mosquito, sorry. I'm in the Florida Keys while I'm doing this. I'm in Key Largo this week, or this month, actually. I'm in for the month of June, I'm in Key Largo. Case in point.
Do you dive? Scuba dive? Yes. I don't want to do it. Did you do Christ of the Abyss?
I was in Christ of the Abyss last week.
Yeah, I dove that many years ago. It's cool. It's not a deep dive, but it's cool.
I generally snorkel more than dive now. Okay. The equipment is like, it's too much trouble.
Yeah. Sorry. I didn't mean to derail you, but I'm like, that's a nice location.
I'll be at Christ of the Abyss this weekend. We'll be snorkeling Christ of the Abyss this weekend. The seas are really nice today.
Awesome.
We were out 2 days ago in 6 to 8 foot swells, 6 to 8 foot seas. The boat was doing a lot of this.
Yeah.
Because we were fishing, and we were in 150 feet of water just off of Carey's Fort. And then, anyway, but now the seas are nice. Like 2 to 3 foot.
Yeah. It's not good to snorkel, or even at least when you're scuba diving on the top when the waves is.
No.
So, okay. Anyway. Yeah. Anyway.
But the point I'm making is I would love to talk about figuring out a book where we can, so 1%, so 99% of the world's population doesn't really know the reality of the way that 1% of the world's population actually lives in reality. You
Yeah.
got what I'm saying? And when you, and I didn't used to live in this lifestyle, so I know what this is. I know what it's like to be on the outside with my face to the glass looking in, right? And you're outside with your face to the glass looking in, like trying to get glimpses of things, but it's all like a little bit blurry and it's not really completely clear. And you're getting glimpses of different things and it's all distorted, and you're hearing all these rumors and stories and bits and pieces of things, right? I'll never forget, I was talking with a person that I know, and the name of a well-known, very successful business person came up in conversation, uh, like a television celebrity, successful business person. And the person that I knew said, "Oh, that guy's an asshole." And I said, "Oh, wow." I was sincere. Like I wasn't trying to be a jerk. I was like, "Oh my God, I didn't, how do you know this person? Like I didn't know you knew this person. Like that's really interesting to me. How do you know this person?" And the person that I knew, we'll call him my friend, said, "Well, oh, I don't. I've never met him." Like, well, then what makes you think he's an asshole? Well, someone that I know knows him. I said, "Oh, how do they know him? Are they business partners with him? Did they have a business dispute with him?" No. This guy that I know drives a limousine and told me that he drove the guy once and the guy was a complete asshole. And I was like, "Oh, so you don't really know this person at all."
Yeah.
And the limousine driver doesn't really know this person at all, right? For all we know, this business icon kind of person is the nicest, most gentle, kind, patient, forgiving, generous, wonderful human being around. And maybe the limousine driver picked him up when he was having a really bad day. Maybe that was the day that his kid yelled at him. Maybe that was the day that he got in an argument with his wife about something. Maybe that was the day he got some very disappointing medical news about a loved one. Maybe that was the day something really bad happened. Maybe he was having, some physical discomfort that day. Maybe he was coming to the end of a very long trip and was just exhausted. You have no idea what was going on in this person's life.
Yeah.
But from this teeny tiny little glimpse of experiencing this person in your car for an hour, you've decided this person is an asshole. And now you've repeated this to another person who's going around saying this person's an asshole because they got their face to the mirror and they caught a little glimpse of the lifestyle. Well, I've had the experience of getting off. I went on I remember having the experience coming down the escalator at the Miami International Airport after a 2-week whirlwind city tour around the country. I remember coming down the escalator with my baseball cap and my sunglasses and my Bose noise canceling headphones. Because, by the way, if you travel extensively, I highly recommend you wear a baseball cap in airports.
I started doing that.
Did you notice the difference?
A little bit. I don't travel that much, but yeah, like on the days where it's like a long day of the airport, I started wearing one of my baseball caps because of what you said.
You wear a baseball cap when you travel, you will arrive less jet lagged and feeling better. The airport lights they mess up your circadian rhythms big time. And then sunglasses helps a lot also. And then the Bose canceling headphones, you kind of create a little bubble of oasis for yourself when you're traveling, and you arrive in better. Anyway, so I arrived down the escalator after this 2-week trip. I got my baseball cap, I got my sunglasses, I got my Bose noise canceling headphones, and I come down the escalator and I look at the thing and I'm like, that was the first moment that I realized that the trip was now over because I was back in Miami. I rode down, I'm like looking at the board for where the luggage would be. And I'm like, oh, I'm back in Miami. This trip must be over. Like that's how freaking, right? I was. And I'm pretty sure that when I got in the car with the driver that day, I wasn't Mr. Chatty.
Yeah.
Right? I'm freaking exhausted. I haven't seen my family in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And that driver probably thinks RJon's an asshole. Anyway, the point I'm making is it's really a shame, like really a shame that aspiring entrepreneurs, people who aspire to be in the 1% or the top percentage of the 1%, it's really a shame that those people don't actually have the opportunity to understand the reality of this lifestyle. Because if they understood the reality of this lifestyle, then they could be really, truly, sincerely, and authentically motivated by the things that are really great and not distracted by the flash and the glitz that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And I could give example after example after example. The problem is I don't know how to give those examples without coming off like a braggadocio asshole. So I just keep my mouth shut.
Yeah. Be careful writing in a book, I think. Like there's a way that could work.
Well, that's why I would only do it with world famous book wrangler Heidi Gusto. keeping me in, from veering off.
In the guardrails, within the guardrails.
Exactly.
Okay. I'm good with the words, I promise. Okay. On that note, should we talk about making a good referral? And I have a question about that. I'm pivoting.
Yes, I'm tempted. I'm tempted to keep down this road because I think this is such an interesting subject. But we do have a book to write, so I will follow your lead.
Okay.
This is what wrangling looks like. Wrangling looks like, no, RJon, do not go down another rabbit trail.
Okay. All right. Okay. So I'm getting into something pretty specific from a prior call.
Yeah.
So the short question is, can you explain how having a pre-sales call is part of making a good referral?
Oh,
because
yeah. All right. So it's like this. This is how it should be done.
Yeah. And tell me who we're talking to, right? Because pre-sales, I think a lot of people think about the actual person who's going to buy something from us, buy a service. But then if this is about making a referral, some of the other stuff is like, well, you're building referral partners. So clarity on who we're actually talking to.
We're talking about when you are now actually making an actual referral, prospective client, customer, passenger, diner, patient, whatever they're going to be called.
Yeah.
When you're actually making a referral, you're taking this person who needs to find a solution to a problem and getting ready to introduce them to someone who you think can help them solve the problem.
Yep.
I'll role play. Pretend like I'm talking to one of my members, a member of How to Manage a Small Law Firm, or some people will refer to them as a client, but we call them members, right?
Members, yep.
And let's suppose I'm talking to someone that I know who makes mention of their desire to write a really good quality best-selling book. And I say, I know the person to introduce you to.
Yep.
Yeah. So what I'll do is I will have the sales call for you. Excuse me.
Yep.
I will have the sales call for you.
Yeah.
With the prospect before I make the introduction.
That's what you did when you referred the not real estate. I'm sorry. the estate planning, right? Because you told me all about her and what she'll do. So that's what we're talking about,
I had
right?
the sales call on her behalf before I introduced you to her.
Okay.
Right?
Yep.
So the reason you do this is because you want to make a good referral, right? You want the referral to really stick.
Yeah.
And most people who you are going to have in your referral network, those 10 people, there's a very slim chance that they've been formally trained how to have a good sales call. Most of them suck at sales. It's really bad. I mean, really, truly bad at sales. I mean, they give the prospect a bad experience. They give the prospect a bad experience. Most professionals are making sales like despite themselves, like for real, right? And they give the prospect a bad experience. So I want the prospect, because the prospect is someone who came to me and put their trust in me and allowed me the privilege of referring them to someone. And out of respect for that person, number one, I want them to have a good experience when they meet with the person I'm referring them to. Number two, I want them to appreciate me for making the introduction, not to get to the end of the meeting and say that was a big waste of time and RJon wasted my time by making the referral.
Yeah.
Number three, the person that I make the referral to, I want them to get business out of this. And if they don't know how to make sales, if they don't know how to handle a sales call, the chance of them bumbling the introduction is pretty high. And then it makes me look bad. So if for no other reason than my own self-interest and to make sure that my reputation is enhanced and protected, or protected and enhanced, I want to make sure this sale goes well. So I'm going to have a pre-sales call with the prospect and not leave my reputation to the chance that maybe the person I'm making the referral to, knows how to handle the sales call.
Okay.
That's why you and the estate planning lawyer had such a great experience, because I had already done all the work. Now,
you did. And sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but
go ahead.
You made it easy too. It was like, I still remember, I'll be forever grateful, not because like everybody, no offense to everybody listening, but like nobody's like, I love legal paperwork, unless maybe you're the lawyer, but you want the protection for your kids if you're a parent. So it was like, you helped me recognize we thought we were covered in terms of protecting our kids. You explained why we weren't. You provided this solution. So then when I go to my husband, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is what I learned, but this is who we go to get it all taken care of. And it's like, oh, okay.
So
and that,
let me just give a 30-second explanation on a proper sales call.
Yeah. Right?
Carly, this is where you chime in. Let me give a 30-second lesson on a sales call, right? And like, seriously, I don't think I've ever seen anyone do a better job at training professionals on how to systematically, predictably, reliably, profitably, ethically, comfortably conduct a sales call than my team. We are the best in the world that I've ever seen. I'm not saying there isn't someone else out there better. I've just never seen anyone better than my team at training professionals on how to have sales calls. We do amazing training. We got amazing resources. We got amazing programs.
And if anybody listening would like to get some of those free resources, I will put our the main inbox in the address and let us know, and we will make sure that you get that. And please do that.
Carly, just make a note of what just happened and let's talk about it later. I don't want to get sidetracked. Instead of doing that, Carly, put a link where they can go to request, where they can go to a landing page and just get it and help themselves to it, so they don't have to send an email that you have to find, and then you have to stop what you're doing, and then you don't have to respond to it. And what if they send it on a time when you're on vacation? What if they send it in the middle of the night when you're sleeping? Let's give them a link to the landing page that they can go to where they can just get it themselves anytime they want.
Let me see if I can find the landing page.
Yes, you'll find the landing page. You'll put the link in the thing.
Yes.
Good.
30-second lesson on the sales call.
30-second lesson. All right.
Yep.
Sales is very simple, right? As long as you understand, you got to keep a few things in mind, right? One, it's not about you. Not about you. It's not about you. It's not about you. It's not about you. It's not about you.
What was that again? No.
Not about you. Two, they're buying a better future. What they want to buy is a better future.
Yep.
This is where I am today in my life. I want to be in a better place in the future. I'm buying a better future.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. And I'm avoiding a worse future. Here's where I am today, where the microphone is. Call that where I am today. I want to buy a better future. I want to avoid a worse future. You see this delta?
Yep.
All right. The difference between the potentially better future and where I am today, see how this kind of like makes a triangle?
Yep.
That is the value of your services. The real value of your services, though, is the difference between this is where you are today, the microphone, you see it?
Yeah.
Better future up here, worse future down here. See this triangle? Bigger triangle? That's really the value of your services. If without my help, you're likely, or it's probable or possible for you to wind up in this really bad future that you don't want to be in.
Yeah.
And with my help, it's probable or possible for you to be in this much better place. This difference between this much worse place and this much better place, that's the value of my services, right? The value of my services has nothing to do with me. The value of my services has nothing to do with me. Why? Heidi, why?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm taking a note. Sorry.
The value of my
No,
service
yeah.
has nothing to do with me because it's got nothing to do with me.
It's not your,
It's got
you're
nothing to do with
solving
me.
their problem,
Right.
right? Okay.
You got to remember, it's got nothing to do with you. It's got nothing to do with you. It's not about you. It's not about you. It's not about you. It's not about you. The value of your services is not based on your experience. It's not based on your credentials. It's not based on your expertise. It's not based on how smart you are. It's not based on how hard you work. It's not based on how much you care. The value of the services is entirely based on the buyer, how much the buyer values the difference between where they are now and where they want to be versus where they are now and where they don't want to be. This part of the triangle,
Yeah.
this is the value of your services,
Yes.
and it's got everything to do with the prospect.
Okay.
Yeah?
Do you have, is there an image? I haven't seen an image of that
That's
in
because
any
we
of
haven't been talking about sales. We've been talking about building a
that's
referral
true.
machine. We have an entire program, an entire course, an entire workshop. We got an entire program that trains non-attorney salespeople how to crush it as salespeople for law firms. I've been teaching this for 10 or 12 years. It's amazing.
Okay.
But here's what I'm getting at when making the referral, right? So when making the referral, what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask all the questions that the person that I'm making the referral to should ask. Because to be completely transparent and candid, I don't trust them to ask the right questions.
Yeah.
I don't trust them to ask the right questions. And if they don't ask the right questions, they're likely to make me look bad by screwing up the sale.
Yeah.
Which is bad for them, it's bad for the prospect, bad for my reputation. So I'm going to ask the prospect, tell me about the situation you're in right now. How is the situation affecting you right now? In my experience, and I'm not an estate planning attorney. I'm not an accountant. I'm not an auto mechanic. I don't fix roofs for houses. I'm not a book wrangler, right? But in my experience, I generally find that most people who are dealing with this kind of a situation are trying to solve a problem in at least 3 different ways. They're generally concerned about their time. They're generally concerned about their money. They're generally concerned about their reputation. May I explain what I mean by that?
Of course.
The person's going to say, of course, right? Most people who are considering writing a book, in my experience, they're concerned about their time in the sense that either they don't feel like they have enough time to write the book themselves, or they recognize that the value of their time doesn't make it cost effective for them to write the book themselves, or they're concerned about the time in terms of the calendar, and they realize that if they don't get the book written by a certain date, they're going to miss a big opportunity. So let me ask you, how is not having a book impacting you in terms of your time? So the second part is typically money, time, money, reputation. And what I found in the people, and I'm not an expert on writing books. Heidi's the expert on helping people write books. But let me ask you a question, because I want to make sure I get you to the right person. And maybe Heidi's not the right person for you. So to help make sure that I'm introducing you to the right person, I want to make sure I understand how this is impacting you in terms of your money. So when most people are thinking about writing a book, they're either thinking primarily of, I want to spend as little as possible, usually because they don't have a plan for how to make a lot of money with the book. Or they're thinking in terms of the value of their time. We kind of talked about that before. And they're thinking to themselves, wow, I can earn $200, $500, $1,000 an hour doing what I do. And so it's more cost effective to hire a book wrangler to save me 20, 30, 50, 100 hours of my time and make more money doing what I do than trying to save money on writing the book myself. Or sometimes people are really, not having a book could be costing them money every day. Like, not having a book could be costing you business. Maybe if you had a book, you could get more speaking engagements. Maybe if you had a book, you could get invited onto more podcasts. Maybe if you had a book, you could have something to hand out to referral sources that could bring you in hundreds of thousands or maybe millions of dollars. So how is not having a book impacting you in terms of your money? And then, I'd go through the same thing with reputation.
Yeah.
Right? And then I'd say, okay, so if you had a book, if you had a book in 2 or 3 years from now, how would you know if the book was successful in terms of your time and your money? And I'd walk them through that.
Yeah.
Well, if I had a book, I think that I would be able to, produce at least an extra $1 million a year for my business. I think that I would not have to spend as much time meeting individually with prospective new people because they could read the book and decide on their own if this is the right firm for them or not. And I think it would enhance my professional reputation, which would allow me to charge premium fees or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And if you don't ever get around to writing a book, and now it's 2 years from now, and we're in this alternate universe where you haven't written a book, how do you think that's going to affect you in terms of your time and your money and your reputation? Well, in terms of my time, well, I guess that's 2 years of my life I'm not going to get back. I
Mhm.
figure I'll probably waste at least 100 hours during those 2 years trying to get the book done myself and never get it together.
Which
Um,
happens all the time.
I guess, based on what we've now talked about, now that I'm thinking about it, I'll probably have to meet with, hundreds of prospective new clients one by one by one by one that I might not have to meet with, if they had a book.
Yeah.
And then in terms of money, well, that could cost me, $1 million between now and then. And then reputation. Well, my reputation won't be enhanced, whereas it could be enhanced. And if someone else writes the book before me, then I won't be able to be the first person that writes the book, and then someone else will claim that spot. Okay, great. So let me repeat this all back to you to make sure I understand. This is how you feel about and how do you feel about this, right? So this is how you feel about being in the situation you're in right now. You're frustrated, you're anxious, you're uptight, you're upset, you're disappointed, you're whatever. And you feel that way because, and I would have dug into why they feel that way, right? I'm not putting words in their mouth. I'm just helping them get the words out.
Yeah.
Right? And ideally, if I can get you to the right book wrangler, you would be in this better position, and you want to avoid being in this worse position. Have I got that right? Yes, you got that right. Okay, let me ask you one last question, because I think that I got the right person in mind. But I want to ask you one last question, or two last questions. I'm sorry. One, what have you tried to do before? Right? And if the person says, well, I hired this hack named Heidi Gusto, and it was a terrible experience, and she wasted my time, and she was horrible, and I hated her, and she was not nice, and she said a lot of bad words. Well, you know what? I'm glad I asked, because I was about to refer them to you, and then I'd look like a jerk, right? No one's ever going to say that, for real. Or they say, well, I tried using AI, or I tried using, a cheap ghostwriter who interviewed me for 3 hours and said they'd get the book out of me, and they gave me back garbage, or blah, 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 right? Okay, and last question I've got is, you seem like a pretty smart person. You seem to understand the value of having a book. I'm curious, why haven't you done it already? The answer to this question, by the way, is always going to be the same answer. Everyone will always have the same answer. It doesn't matter what their problem is. It doesn't matter what industry we're talking about. It doesn't matter their age. It doesn't matter their background. They're always going to have the same answer to this question. I pose this question to probably tens of thousands of people at this point, and everyone's always got the same answer, right? More to the point, I've trained probably thousands of people. So between me and the thousands of people I've posed this question to, and the thousands of people I've trained, I mean, we've got to be talking about millions of data points. Everyone's always got the same answer to this question. The answer to the question always comes down to some variation of, because I don't know how to do it myself. Why haven't you done it already? Because I don't know how to do it myself. Okay, great. Repeat it all back to you. Great. Based on what you shared with me, I know exactly the right person who I feel most comfortable introducing you to. Let me set up an appointment and make a proper introduction. Well, why don't you just give me their name and I'll just chase them down myself, because I love helping myself and chasing people down, especially when they're busy. No one's ever going to say that, right? And if they do say that, I'm going to say, I appreciate that, but I want to really honor your time and make a proper introduction. So please give me the opportunity to really make a proper introduction here, right? Now, if depending on the situation, depending on the nature of the problem, if it's a very small problem, I might make the introduction by email, right? Or I've never personally done this, but I've trained people who have then done what I'm about to describe, and it's brilliant. I just haven't done it. They'll shoot like a little video introduction, right? I've seen people do that. I've never done one, but people I've trained have evolved my idea, which is great, right? Anyway, the point I'm making is, let's say we're now making this introduction, right?
Mhm.
By email, in person, by telephone, by Zoom, by video, whatever, right? I'm going to say, Heidi, I want to
Mhm.
introduce you to John Doe. John Doe, Heidi. John Doe, I feel comfortable introducing John Doe, Heidi. John Doe is a blah, 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 blah. John Doe wants to write a book. Right now, he doesn't have a book, and it's affecting his time in terms of blah, blah, blah. It's affecting him in terms of his money because of blah, blah, blah. It's affecting him in terms of his reputation because of blah, blah, blah. Ideally, John would like to be in this better place where he thinks he can accomplish this financially and this personally and this professionally with a book. And he
Mhm.
definitely wants to avoid winding up in a situation 2 years from now where if he doesn't have a book where he thinks these bad things might happen. John Doe has already tried this, that, and the other to get a book written.
Mhm.
And the reason why he isn't getting a book done now is because he just doesn't know how to do it himself. He's a very smart person, but this just isn't his area of expertise. John, have I missed anything? And then John Doe will probably add more color to his story, right?
Yeah.
And then I will say, John, this is Heidi. This is why I feel comfortable referring you, introducing you to Heidi. And I'll talk about why I feel comfortable referring him to you. And
Mhm.
I'll make sure to slip something in there, which I've agreed with you ahead of time that we're going to do. And I'll say, now, John, one of the reasons I feel comfortable referring you to Heidi is because Heidi knows that I protect my clients and that I protect my relationships. And Heidi knows that she has to treat you like a VIP, very important person, or I'm never going to refer business to her ever again. And I'm going to say this right in front of John Doe. And I'm going to say, Heidi,
Mhm.
isn't that true? And you're going to say,
Yeah.
yes,
Yep.
I will not screw this up. I will treat John Doe like royalty because I know that you're not going to refer business to me if I don't treat John Doe really well. How does John Doe feel at this point?
Special.
Feels special, feels important, feels valued, feels honored, feels safe.
Mm.
He feels safe. He feels more comfortable. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that is
This
I
sets you
mean,
both up for success in your relationship and leaves me looking like a hero to both of you.
yeah.
That's what I mean by have a pre-sale.
Okay.
And look, the objection that I get whenever I teach this to people is, but that takes more time than banging out a thoughtless text in 30 seconds while I'm on the go. Yes, it does. I'm sorry to break it to you, but it takes some extra time and some extra effort to join the 1%.
Yeah. Okay. So I think this links to another question I have. We're going to have a chapter section about like becoming a good person to know or like a center of influence. And my question on that is, can you tell me more about how to become a center of influence? And you didn't say anything in what you just said about, and this makes you a center of influence, but this type of level of care and intention.
What I just described does not make you a center of influence.
Okay, so tell me about what does.
Being a person who makes it your business, who has an automatic referral machine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And one of the pieces of the automatic referral machine, you know, that weird piece with the gears on it that no one can explain what it does, right?
Go on.
The worm gear, right? That piece is what we refer to as your Team 100. And what that means is I know that in order to be the center of influence, to be a center of influence,
Mm-hmm.
be a good person to know. Whenever people come to me, I'm either going to score a point or I'm going to lose a point. It's never neutral, right? You're either
Mm-hmm.
scoring a point or losing a point. You call me and you need a referral to an estate planning attorney. I know the right person and I make a good referral, I score a point. If you call me and I say, oh, I'm sorry, I don't know anyone, I lose a point. Because the next time you have a question about anything, you're less likely to think that I'm the right person to call.
Okay.
So what do you need? What do you need in your life? Business, personal, kids, health, you name it. We didn't practice this. We didn't rehearse this. I'm gonna try to walk on a tightrope here without a net. It's a live performance piece. You throw it at me. What do you need?
Plumber.
If you lived in Miami, Florida,
Yeah, we can assume that. That's fair,
if you
right?
lived in my market, I would introduce you to Harold, my general contractor, who has a great plumber.
Okay.
Next.
House paint. We've talked about this. I got my windows done. Now I got to do the house, the outside of it.
I'd go to Harold.
Harold still. Okay.
You're away from the house because everything to do with the house.
I know. It's going to be, yeah. New hairdresser, beautician.
I'm going to call Jim, who works at the salon where Allie, and I know you don't think that I get my haircut ever, but I actually do.
I never said that.
Well, people like, I'm gonna call Jim at Avita in Coconut Grove, and I've got his cell phone number, and I'm gonna text him and say, "Can I make an introduction for you?"
A new gym to go to. I'm unhappy with my current one.
I'm going to tell you to go to 54d.com. And the original founder of 54D is actually about to open up a new concept, which is going to be even better. And I'm going to introduce you to them.
Okay. New insurance broker, because I want to just get new quotes on home, auto, all those things.
Okay, I was going to ask you what kind of insurance.
Yeah. Oh, okay. We'll say beach for a beach property.
For real estate.
Yeah, real estate.
Okay. So we just broke with our insurance broker and have a relationship with the new insurance broker. And I'm going to tell you, I don't have a lot of experience with this broker yet, but my finance department did a lot of due diligence and came back to me and said, this is the broker that we feel most comfortable with. So I'll make an introduction for you, but I want you to know that I personally have only been doing business with this brokerage for a short time.
Okay. I'll see if you get this one. An English tutor for one of my kids.
You mean English as a second language or?
Oh, no. No, like grammar, spelling, say things like that. So like for English as a native speaker, native English speaker.
So I'm going to call Miss Indy, who is the headmaster of my son's private school. And I'm going to ask her who she can make a referral to. And then I will track this down for you and I'll get back to you when I have an answer.
Okay. I think the point has been made. You practice what you preach, huh?
I maintain.
Yeah,
I maintain. Listen, I get calls from everyone for everything.
Yeah.
I get calls from all kinds of people for all different kinds of referrals to all different kinds of things. My dentist, last time I went to my dentist, after my dental procedure, I got a cleaning. So I wasn't with him. I was with the hygienist.
Mm-hmm.
And he comes to me, he says, hey, I want to see you in my office after you're done with your cleaning. It's like, oh no, I'm getting called to the principal's office, right? So he calls me I go to his office and he says, hey, I want to schedule an appointment to take you and your wife out for dinner to thank you because I referred him to a tax strategist. And he's like, I saved like hundreds of thousands of dollars. Thank you so much. I'm taking you out for dinner. The beautiful thing when you build this machine and you maintain this machine, right? And that's why we're talking about a referral machine and not just networking.
Yeah.
Right? When you build the referral machine, it puts you in like such a beautiful position to make all these introductions to all these people. And you get to be in the middle of all of it, right? I cherry pick the things for myself that I want to keep. Yeah. And now every time I make a referral, I'm just creating more and more and more people who are out there looking for opportunities to refer business back to me.
Yeah.
I have a designer who hasn't worked with me for a year and a half, and I got a call or a text from him. And he's like, hey, I have a friend who's starting a law firm. Who do I introduce him to at your organization? Like who? I mean, you just go through life helping people get what they want. Go through life making connections. And the Team 100 program that we'll share with everyone for free shows you how to do this.
Yeah.
That's what I mean by being the center of influence.
So this links to, I'm kind of processing, thinking aloud,
I got mosquitoes all around me. I'm sorry if I look like I'm schizophrenic here. I'm sorry if I offended anyone who's schizophrenic.
So you have your Team 100. I'm trying to think of the best way to phrase this. I guess to get the gears in motion with the Team 100, right? I know I'll get there with this. Is like initially though.
Can I say something that I think you're trying to get to?
Yeah. And then I'll let you know
if I get it wrong.
Yeah.
Try again. But I think I know what you're getting at. The resource we're going to share on the Team 100, it doesn't just include an explanation of what the Team 100 is. It literally includes step 1, step 2, step 3 instructions with samples of how to get the Team 100 started.
Yeah. Well, and that's, I guess that's what, like
when you were a kid, did you, when you were a kid, I mean, remember when people used to send out chain mail, chain letters?
Yeah.
Remember those?
Yeah. You have to do it to 7 other people or else like in 7 days, you're going to die.
Right. Exactly. So you send it to 7 people and they send it to 7 people and they send it to 7 people and they send it to 7 people. Right.
Yeah. And then you're supposed to get 123 stickers back to you because you sent 1 sticker to each of those 7 or whatever it was. Right.
I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah. Anyways,
but Team 100 is kind of based on that, except in a positive, constructive, healthy, honest way.
So, but when you're starting this, you're not just constructing your Team 100, but to get the wheels in motion, you're actively listening, like in your day-to-day life, you're listening for people to say like, oh, I wish that my house would clean itself. Oh, well, do you need, can I, are you actively listening for the opportunity?
2 different questions. Let me answer each of the questions. One question is how to build the actual resource, how to build that piece of the machine, how to be in a position where no matter what someone asks, you have a solution.
Yeah.
That's because there's no point saying, can I help you solve that problem if you don't have a solution in your back pocket ready to go?
Yes. Okay.
The whole point is have the solution in your back pocket ready to go so that when you make the offer, you know you're going to look good. That's what having the machine is all about. Make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So how do you build that? And the answer is you look at our Team 100 list, which is really just a list of different categories. accountant. I can't think of B. What's a B?
A baker?
A baker.
Candlestick maker.
A candlestick
See.
maker. Exactly. Dog walker.
Dog groomer.
trainer,
Yeah.
right?
Okay.
Dog groomer. Right. And these are just categories that people in life are generally looking for help with. Right? There's no magic to it. It's just a list. Okay. And then you begin to, I got it.
Success.
I literally am not going to relax. It literally was going to drive me crazy.
See, it is a Friday for you.
I've been in Key Largo all month. I promise you,
It's all
swatting
Friday.
mosquitoes is not a Friday thing. It's an all day, every day.
Okay.
Anyway.
So, okay. You have these categories people look for help with.
And so you know you're building this thing, right?
Yeah.
You know this is what you're building. Like, you know you're making dinner for your family. And so you go to the grocery store and you look for the ingredients you're going to need to put into the meal. You know you're building this Team 100. You know you're building this piece of your referral machine. And so you know that you have to find the accountant. You have to find the baker. You have to find the candlestick maker. You have to find the dog groomer. You have to find the electrician. You have to find the
the
florist.
florist. Okay.
Right. You got to find these things, right?
Go with G. We need a Ghostbuster.
And obviously you tailor it to your position in the world, right?
Yeah. And that gets to a later question I had, and I think we've addressed it, is that you really do advise people like, well, this links to it. Can I ask the next question then? Because I think this links here.
Yeah.
So you have your Team 100 of people who, those are people you can refer to. But if you're talking about like your 10, say we said 10 referral partners, do you advise people to determine the categories of professions they want to build those really, really strong relationships with, and then identify them? So if they're like, I know I need to have someone who's an accountant because accountants would be a natural, referral partner for me because of this, then I'm going to go try to meet 3 or 4 accountants and then determine which one I want to really solidify a relationship with. Or do you let it be like, let me go to these events, meet people, and let it happen organically?
Yes.
Both. Okay.
Right. Because you're going to look, you're so smart. You're so brilliant. You were always such a high achiever in life, and you studied so well in school, and you got such great grades, and you're so smart. You can figure everything out, except everything you can't figure out or predict. Right. And so try to be strategic about who you want to recruit as these 10 categorically, but leave room for possibilities that there's this person out there who you're going to meet at some networking event who is, I don't know, a skydiving instructor, a fishing guide, a professional fishing guide.
Yeah.
Right. There's this person out there you're going to meet at some networking event who's a professional fishing guide. And it would never have occurred to you to think that one of the 10 people in your team should be a professional fishing guide until you meet this professional fishing guide and you get to start talking with this professional fishing guide. And the professional fishing guide says, yeah, turns out most of my clients are highly successful law firm owners. I don't know why. Just happens to be that way. Because I took a really successful lawyer fishing once, and She referred me to her friend, who referred me to his friend, who referred me to her friend, who referred me to his friend.
Mm-hmm.
And now like half my clients are lawyers.
Yeah.
And I spend all my time out on boats fishing with lawyers. I don't know. Well, turns out the fishing guide is a great referral source. I would have never guessed that in a million years.
Yeah. Okay.
Turns out I know a lot of lawyers. Some of them like fishing. And when they come to Florida, they want a referral to a fishing guide. And don't I look great when they call me or they call my team and they say, hey, I'm coming down to Florida for a VIP day with RJon or for one of his Iron Sharpens Iron events or whatever. And we want to go fishing by any chance. And my team says, actually, yes.
Yes.
We've got our go-to person.
Yeah. So speaking of lawyers in particular, are there any like standard professions?
Which, by the way, that's not a made-up example. I've got the guy.
I'm guessing, yeah, it was very subtle. I picked up on this. Are there any standard professions that apply to all lawyers, regardless of specialty, that you'd encourage them to be like, hey, if this profession is not on your radar, it should be?
No.
No.
I mean, probably accountant.
I'm surprised. I'm like, not an accountant.
I'm reluctant to give an answer to that because I don't want people to try to turn this into like an exercise in semantics or I don't want them to make this too mechanical and lose all the fluidity and art. It's as much art as it is science. Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably an accountant. I mean, everyone needs an accountant. Probably a realtor. Everyone needs a place to live. Probably an insurance agent. I mean, most people have need for insurance.
Yeah.
Probably an auto mechanic. Or depending on who, what circles you travel in, like my friends don't need auto mechanics. My friends need auto dealers.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Depending on who your avatar is, depending on what circles you travel in, a good auto mechanic might be a really relevant thing. If you're like, if you're like everyone who complains about their car, your answer to them is, let me introduce you to my auto broker who can help find whatever car you're looking for brand new at a better price. And they're like, asshole, I'm on my third used transmission. I don't buy new cars. I'm broke. I mean,
yeah,
you got to know who your audience is.
Know your audience. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. So I think we only have probably about 5 more minutes before we will be opening it up for questions. But I want to ask you about the 90-day outbound referral challenge. Can you just tell me more about this?
That's a beautiful thing. That's a beautiful thing. So we run a workshop called the Gas Call Workshop. Mm-hmm. Coffee is for closers, Gas Call Workshop. And basically, by the time someone is watching this or listening to this or reading this, this claim may no longer be accurate. But as of today, what's today's date?
June 20th.
June 20th, 2025. As of today, this claim is accurate. We've never had a group make less than $1 million in one of these workshops.
How long in 90 days?
No, 3 days.
Okay,
these are 3-day workshops.
Uh-huh.
So what we do is we take 20 law firms.
Uh-huh.
And the owner comes with one other person to help them. Usually we encourage it to be their biz dev person or a non-attorney salesperson or even just an assistant. right?
Mm-hmm.
And we set up basically a boiler room.
Okay.
And we lock them all in the room for 3 days. We train them what to do. We train them how to do it. And then we basically stand behind them and make them make these calls for 3 days.
Okay.
And we do 12 hours a day, right? And the people on the West Coast in the morning, if we're doing this, we usually do this on the East Coast just because that's where I live. So the people from the West Coast spend the morning sending emails to the people they're going to be calling throughout the day. And the people on the East Coast spend the evenings sending emails to the people who they spoke to during the day and the people who they're going to be calling tomorrow. So it's 12, bam, 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 12 hours, 12 hours.
Mm-hmm.
They're fun. They're energetic. I even actually came to one of them when we did it in Austin. He came to visit. He
Oh,
saw it.
cool.
Yeah, he
Okay.
gave a great talk, and he's like, wow, this is intense. And they're calling on the gas call workshop, they're calling their former clients, they're calling their unconverted leads, they're calling their referral sources to demonstrate that they haven't forgot about them, that they still give a shit about them. That's why I call it gas call workshop. All right. So that's the spirit of it. What you're referring to is sort of the first cousin of the gas call workshop.
Okay.
Right? What you're referring to is the 90-day outbound referral challenge. And here it is. It's really, really, really simple. It's so obvious, it doesn't even require explanation. The problem is most people don't think of it, and most people don't really take it seriously enough.
Mm.
The idea of having $1 million law firm is not something that most small law firm owners take very seriously.
Mm.
They treat it like oh, that'd be nice. Not, holy crap, that could be real for me. The idea of having $1 million of income from their law firm, which obviously requires the law firm to gross more than $1 million, right? The law firm is grossing probably around $4 million. Your income will be around $1 million from the firm if it's well managed, which is a big if, by the way. Lots of $10 million law firms that are struggling financially and losing money, even though they're putting on a big show. But anyway, this is so obvious. This is so simple. It's so simple to do. Ready?
Ready.
Today, you find someone, one of these 10 people in your referral team, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Find some way to make a referral to one of them today.
Okay.
Tomorrow, find some way to make a referral to one of them. The next day, find some way to make a referral to one of them. The next day, rack your brain, find some way to make a referral to one of them. The next day, call people you know and say, hey, do you know anyone who needs this? Go to work for my thumb. Go to work for my thumb and find someone who needs a thumb and then refer them to my thumb. And then on the 6th day, you do the same thing for my other thumb. For those of you who are listening, I'm now moved to my second hand. And then on the 7th day, you do the next finger, and the 8th day, and the 9th day, and the 10th day. you do this for 90 days, it is impossible for you not to trigger hundreds of thousands of dollars of referrals back to you.
Yeah.
It's
What
impossible.
what do you do on day 11? Do you restart with one, or then do you go to like, well, past clients or customers who I know have the business, like, is it repeating the same 10? Do these 10 fingers each get 9 referrals in 90 days, or are you expanding it to people in your team 100?
Well, let me ask you, what do you think would happen if you made 9 referrals to one person in 90 days?
I think they would really like it.
You think that they might
Feel compelled to refer someone to me?
You think they might be open and receptive to a meeting to talk about how we can increase referrals back in? Now, the 10 people we're picking aren't random.
Yeah.
Right? The 10 people we're picking, we're choosing them strategically because they're in a position where they're already in a role where they could and should be making referrals to you.
Yeah. These are already ideally like your established referral partners, right?
Correct.
Okay.
And if you don't have 10 and you only have 9, then each of them gets 10 referrals. And if you only have 5, I think it's a little weird for each of them to get 25 referrals. So expand beyond your 5, expand beyond your 10, right? If you look, here's what I know.
Mm-hmm.
What I know is in the process of trying to find 9 referrals to give to each of these 10 people. Yeah.
Yep.
In the process of trying to find 9 referrals to give to each of the digits on my hand, I'm going to find someone who needs an elbow.
Yeah.
And I'm going to find someone who needs a shoulder. And I'm going to find someone who needs a nose and an ear and a mouth. I'm going to find more than just referrals to give to these 10. Isn't that great?
Yeah.
Exactly. It's great.
Okay. And then for each of these, you would be recommending to do that pre-sales call and facilitating that introduction. This is not just a email, I'm wanting to introduce you.
Correct. And referring back to the conversation yesterday, I'm also going to be letting each of these people know every time I try to make a referral and it doesn't work out.
Yeah.
I'm going to let them know. I mean, without being just completely obnoxious about it. I don't want to send them like 10 emails a day. Hey, I tried again. I tried again. I tried again. Right. But
no one wants to talk to you.
Yeah. I tried again, but no one wants to talk to you. Right. I'm going to let them know a few times throughout this 90 days that I'm out there making an effort for them.
Yeah.
Treat it like a campaign.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we call it a 90-day challenge.
So how do people allot this time? I mean, if you have someone who does business development for you already, then you can delegate that, or at least some of it.
Are we talking about the law firm owner who is broke and struggling and has no money and has no staff? Because they probably have a lot of free time.
They have the time.
Or are we talking about the law firm owner who's broke and struggling and has no money and has no staff, but they're sitting on top of a ton of accounts receivables, a bunch of unbilled work?
Mm-hmm.
In other words, they're doing a lot of things for free that aren't productive, and we can just get them to stop doing a bunch of unproductive things and redeploy that energy into doing things that are productive. Is that the person we're talking about? Or are we talking about the law firm owner who's not broke, not struggling? Maybe they don't already have a full-time business development person. Maybe they don't have a full-time non-attorney salesperson, but they're doing pretty well. Maybe they got a $500,000 firm. Maybe they have $1 million firm. Maybe they have a paralegal who wants to make some extra money. Maybe they've got an assistant who wants to make some extra money. Maybe they've got a teenager who wants to make some extra money. Maybe someone on their staff has a spouse or a significant other at home who would like to earn some extra money. And this is a really great part-time job to bring someone into that won't cost very much and can very easily pay for itself many, 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 many times over.
Okay.
Or are we talking about the law firm owner who's got the multi-million-dollar firm and they've got a staff and a full-time biz dev person or a full-time non-attorney salesperson, and they can give that person the assignment to just do this project for them? I mean, where do we find the person who's got a good reason not to do this?
Yeah. So it would just come down to motivation, right? If a prioritization, like if they're not just willing to do it.
Do you want success bad enough? And the problem is, going back to the point we were talking about earlier, most people don't understand what they're missing out on because they've never had this automatic referral machine. Look, what would you do if your car was stolen, or if your car was totaled, or if your car just went kaput? What would you do?
I would contact my insurance agent.
And then you would what?
I would need to get a new car.
You get a new car. Not getting a new car isn't even an option, is it?
No.
It doesn't even occur to you that you would go from having a car to just adapting yourself to a lifestyle without a car.
Yeah.
Doesn't even occur to you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now try talking to someone who's never had a car before.
Oh, and convince them they need it.
And try to explain to them that what they need to do is they need to stop spending money at Starbucks, and they need to stop wasting their time, on the death scroll all day long. And they need to get off the couch, get their shit together, and make some money to get a car, because a whole new world awaits them. But they've never had a car. They've never had any experience in this better world. How are you going to explain to them what they're missing out on by not having a car? I mean, you can say a lot of things, you can point to a lot of things, you can show them a bunch of pictures, but they just don't take it seriously. That's the reason that most people don't do this stuff. They've never had the $1 million automatic referral machine. And so they don't know what they're missing out on by not having it. And so they keep not doing the things to make it happen. Yeah. Me, I know what I'd be missing out on if I was without my case, multi-million dollar automatic referral machine.
Yeah.
And so I'm not going to let it fall apart.
Wither on the vine.
Right? And if someone just took it away from me somehow, I'd get busy rebuilding it. If someone stole my car, I'd get another car.
Yeah. Okay. On that note, should we see if Carly, do you want to share? Does anybody have questions for us? Not for us, for RJon.
Or for Heidi, or for Carly. Dear Carly, what's it like working with RJon when he coaches you in real time in front of everyone?
Actually talk about this on the podcast. I host the Profit First for Lawyers podcast, and I've even shared a snippet of RJon coaching me in real time in the studio, although of course you guys have all seen it today. Actually, I enjoy it. RJon knows he has my implicit permission to coach me because I personally like to grow, and I have been a theater person for a very long time, so I lack a sense of public embarrassment, and I don't mind when he does it. I'd rather know in the moment so that I can do better. So okay, let me ask you some of the questions that came in from the topics yesterday. Somebody said that they love the idea of organizing adult play dates or dinners, but they said, so I'm not sure that I have the network to pull it off. How would you recommend starting small with this if you don't already have a network of people?
Well, I shared the story yesterday of a person, now a friend, at the time a total stranger, who I received a letter in the mail saying, my name is so-and-so. And he described what he does professionally. And I don't know you, but I'm organizing a dinner party with some very, with interesting people from our local community. I've heard of you. I saw you speak. I forgot what he said exactly, but it was it made me feel like he had done at least a little bit of research and knew who I was. And I'd like to invite you and a guest to join me and about 10 other couples for a dinner party in my home on this date and time. And, I accepted. I mean, I don't know if he had 100% pickup rate, but I told the story yesterday about randomly running into a couple in the elevator on the way up, and we had both got the same invitation, right? I think what you're going to find is that the kinds of people who will be the most effective networking relationship referral partners are going to be the kinds of people who are going to tend to be receptive to those kinds of initiatives. I think you're going to find that the kind of people who are going to tend to not be receptive to those kinds of initiatives are going to tend to be the kind of people who probably won't be great referral partners. Just kind of goes with the nature of the person. So literally, you could just start with complete strangers.
That's kind of fun.
If I moved to a brand new city where I didn't know anyone, that's exactly what I would do.
So can I ask a follow-up on that? So it makes me think then that like it's kind of, you could also take the opportunity of breaking down, like if there's silos in your life of like, so for me, most of the time I go to the gym, you're talking about lifting weights and whatever, but you could say, hey, I'm inviting you, let's all get together. I know we're all business owners. Let's learn more about each other and like to just kind of like establish expectations of, hey, let's get together. We're not going to just talk about the gym, but let's talk about our professional lives, get to know each other that way.
Well, yeah.
Is that another approach?
The invitation made it explicit that we were being invited to the dinner party to network and to learn more about each other and to meet interesting people, to explore if there are opportunities to do business together and just exchange interesting ideas. I mean, it made it clear that I was being invited to a business-focused professional dinner party, not a dinner party to talk about politics, for example.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh.
I mean, it would require more work and more effort and more discernment on your part, Heidi. But you could, for example, curate a group of people to say, hey, I want to invite you. There's a special trainer who I've arranged to do a special spin class for us, or a special Pilates class for us, or a special whatever class for us. And I want to invite you to join us. And afterwards, we're going to get together and just talk about business and networking, and no politics, no religion, just business and networking and referring business to each other. And it's called, I don't know, I'm trying to think of a way to alliterate referrals and sweating with the oldies and
referrals after the rig, right? The rig that you do pull-ups on. I don't know, like, but I know what you're saying, that you can make it.
Spend that much time at the gym because I don't know what that means, but there you go.
Okay, thank you. That is helpful to me and for the book.
At 54D, there's different classes, different groups, right? So I'm in. I was the 89th. I was in the 89th cycle. They do a 54-day cycle. I was the 89th group. So we are forever G89.
Okay.
Right. And we would work out every day at 6 p.m. A few times I wasn't able to make it, had to do a makeup session. So I went in the mornings, and I went with these maniacs who called themselves Sweat Before Sunrise.
That's the group I used to go to. Now I've switched it because my kids go in the evening with me. So at least for the time being, but yeah, they talk about like the 5 and 6 a.m.ers is like crazy.
Right.
But
they're lunatics.
You get it done.
They call themselves Sweat Before Sunrise. Actually, the truth is I actually prefer that too. I like getting
lunatics.
I like getting it over with.
Oh,
I don't
that's fair.
love working out. I like getting it over with throughout the rest of the day. I don't have to think about it anymore.
That makes sense.
All right,
let
next
me
question.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me move on to the next one. The next one is I'm bought in on the power of the handwritten notes, but realistically, how do you build a system to do it consistently as part of your referral machine?
You block time on your calendar every week and you give yourself an hour once a week and you go to preferably the same place to do this. And when you get to that place, you've already got your pens, you've already got your stationery, you've already got your envelopes, you've already got your postage stamps. And you just, throughout the week, you just kind of keep a running list of people you need to write a note to. And then you sit down and you write notes once a week. That's one thing. A second system that I learned from Bob Berg, and I used to do this when I carried a briefcase. Now I carry a backpack. I don't know why I don't do it. Why don't I do it anymore? I'll start doing it again. I used to, you can take a piece of stationery, fold it up, stick it in an envelope, put a stamp on the envelope. And then when you walk out of a networking event, you pull the envelope with the paper out of it, you scribble a little note, you stick it back on the envelope, the stamp's already there, you address it, you drop it in a mailbox on your way home, it's done. That's like sweating before sunrise. Get it over with. But if you want to do it in a systematic way, you book an appointment once a week for an hour to just write thank you notes.
I love the idea of carrying it around in your backpack too, RJon. That's fun. I love handwritten notes. So that was a portion that was near and dear to my own heart. I think I'm going to start doing that too.
So could I interject with a question that I meant to ask one of these other days when this came up?
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes and this is different, but sometimes you get something in the mail and it's in the mail, it stands out, but you see right away the cursive on the envelope was from a printer. And then you open this very standard card that says, Happy Valentine's Day or whatever, like for whatever holiday it is. And then it's cursive print and the person's signature is also cursive printed. Do you think that is still a benefit? Is that net positive, net neutral, or harming? Like, oh, I have a CRM that automates this stuff.
Back up. You're saying still as if it ever was a good idea. It never was a good idea. It's still not a good idea.
Okay.
If you're writing if you're sending out a generic card to 1,000 people, then let it be what it is. It's a generic card you're sending out to 1,000 people. If you're sending out a handwritten note, let it be what it is. Let it be a handwritten note.
So is the generic card ever good?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So there's value in that, but don't confuse it too. Don't think like, well, I'm following up because next week happens to be blah, blah, blah. And this is going out anyway. So I don't have to write my personalized handwritten note, right? These are two separate things.
These are two completely separate
things. Okay. Correct. Thank you.
Yeah. Sending out your holiday cards is sending out your holiday cards. Sending out your holiday cards it has no bearing on whether it's appropriate to send a handwritten thank you note to an individual who you met and with whom you would like to develop a deeper, more profitable relationship.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I think we talked about this one a little bit yesterday, but they want to know, at what stage should I consider hiring someone to manage my top of mind awareness system for me? When we dig into like the when is a good idea to hire? Sorry, at what stage should I consider hiring someone to manage my top of mind awareness system for me?
As soon as you can.
Mm-hmm.
the sooner the better. The sooner I can get you to have a person who's not you in charge of this, the more quickly it will start to work better, because I know it'll get done more consistently. Right? So does that mean you need to go out and, I mean, look, if I could get you to hire someone today with your last dollar, it'll work. I don't necessarily know that's how I would spend my last dollar, though, right? But generally speaking, the sooner you do this, the better. The sooner you can hire someone, the better. The quicker we can get you to not be the one responsible for it, the quicker we know it won't get screwed up.
Perfect. Okay, this one is kind of a long one. Let me read it through all the way.
One last thing.
Yeah, please.
This can be done by a person who works virtually. If it's done by a person who works virtually, let me tell you the way my preferred method. My preferred method is the person who manages this for me is in my office, and they physically grab me by my ankles and shake me upside down and see what falls out of my pockets. And then they pick up the pieces and stick it into my referral machine. Yeah. And then they, at the time of my monthly card writing or letter writing thing, I do it monthly, not weekly. They literally sit there and like basically watch me do it to make sure that I don't get distracted. And, you know, they've got a yardstick, and every time I start getting distracted, they hit me with it and they keep me focused. I'm very easily distracted. The right virtual person with the right kind of assertive personality could easily do this for you virtually if they're willing to just get on Zoom with you and basically keep you company while you do it.
I've been on a couple of those calls with you.
Yes,
Like
Carly,
staring at you, right?
Carly has on more than one occasion had to just keep me company to keep me focused to get done things I got to get done. Look, would it be better if I was more disciplined? Yes, it would be better if I was more disciplined. Am I going to be more disciplined just because it would be better if I was more disciplined? No, I'm not going to be more disciplined just because it would be better. You could tell me all the reasons why it would be better, but I'm still not going to be more disciplined. I am who I am. I am what I am. It's more practical to figure out workarounds than trying to change who I am at this point.
Yeah, I feel that. There's some things I'm working on that I just work around it until I get there. Okay, long question for you, RJon, and then we'll let this be the end today. We'll save the rest for tomorrow. Here's the question. I know someone.
We're meeting Monday.
Oh, sorry. Gosh, I keep forgetting it's Friday, even though Heidi keeps saying
Saturday and Sunday because I have a fishing guide taking me and Taye out all day Saturday and all day Sunday.
I'm going to catch some more, what is it, mutton? I can't even remember the name of that fish.
No, we're going out for mahi today.
Oh.
Allegedly, the mahi are running.
All right, that's fun.
So just so everyone knows, I am not, Taye, my son loves fishing. I love seeing my son love fishing. I don't know anything about fishing, so that's why I hire the guides. Anyway, I don't want anyone to be like, "Oh, RJon's like a big fisherman." No. If my son lost his interest in fishing tomorrow, I wouldn't be fishing the next day.
Oh, that's fun.
What he's interested in, I'm interested in.
Yeah. I've seen quite a few movies I had no interest in because that's what my daughter wanted to do, and I love her. So, okay, big question for you, RJon. Here you go. I know someone who would be a really great referral partner because their audience is exactly who I'm trying to get in front of. but I wouldn't want to refer people to them because their message is not one that I agree with or want to endorse.
Then they wouldn't be a great referral partner.
Okay.
The word partner suggests mutual.
Reciprocity.
Now, with that being said, there are people who make for terrific long-term referral partners where it's always one way and never back the other, right? Because remember, the person making the referral has a problem they need to solve. They need a place to send everyone. Yeah?
Yeah.
Like Harold, the contractor that I told you about, he's never referred any business to me and probably won't. But we're still great referral partners because he solves my problem for me. And the problem that I have is that I need to be someone who, whenever they have a problem with their house, I need them to know they can call me and I always have a solution. And then Harold does his part and says really good things about me. While he's talking to them about their house, he'll always, I can always count on him to be complimentary of me. Isaac, my driver, I think that I'm his biggest referral source. I think probably I'm 3-to-1, a bigger referral source than anyone else that refers business to him. I'm almost positive of this, right? He has never once referred anything to me ever, nor do I ever expect him to. But we make great referral partners because I know he always makes me look good to the people who I refer to him. You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't want anyone to think that reciprocity has to be measured only in terms of volume or value of referrals going back and forth. But the person who asked the question said that they don't agree with the values or the philosophy or the messaging of the other person, which means you're never going to refer business to them.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's out of integrity to, I mean, take the referrals if they'll give them to you, but that's not a referral partner.
You wouldn't be able to authentically speak well of their message.
Let's suppose someone refers someone to me. I want to be able to speak very highly of the person who made the referral to me. If I think the person who made the referral to me is a dirtbag, I'm not going to try to build a referral relationship with that person, even if they are in a position to refer a lot of business to me, because what am I going to say? Oh, so-and-so referred you to me. Thank you. I appreciate it. Joe, so-and-so is a real dirtbag, but I like the referrals he gives me. And I'm not going to say that he's not a dirtbag if I think he is a dirtbag. So that, you don't need 1 million referral sources.
Mm-hmm.
You don't even need 100 referral sources. 10 or 12 really good referral sources is all you need to build $1 million referral machine. So you can afford to be selective about who you want on your team.
I think that's a great button for today. And Heidi, I know you have a hard stop, so if you got to get going, go ahead. Thank you so much for all the great content today, you guys. I know that I personally learned a lot. For those in the audience, meet us back here, same time, same place on Monday. We will not have recordings going tomorrow or on Sunday. RJon's gone fishing. And we'll see you back here on Monday. And remember that the amazing Dr. Ivan Misner will be joining us on Tuesday. So don't miss out on either of our last 2 sessions. If anybody has any questions they want to make sure that we get to, let me know. And we will see you back here Monday morning, bright and early. Thanks, RJon. Thanks, Heidi.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.